Suhas Subramaniyam, thank you so much for joining in on CNN News 18. Congratulations on becoming the first Indian American to win Virginia and the East Coast. I'd like to begin by asking you how pivotal has been your Indian American heritage in your journey from Hill to the House?
It's been very, very exciting. It's been an exciting week. I never thought that something like this would happen, but I'm very honored that my constituents would elect me to the US Congress. This is the same area that my mother came to when she immigrated here from India, and to be able to represent it in Congress 45 years later is very special.
It indeed is. And you've also talked about how immigration was far more sorted when your parents, in fact, moved to the United States. It barely took them days to get the green card. So, how would you be addressing immigration concerns, which seem to be quite overwhelming at the moment, considering we've seen how the H-1B visas became an issue during the previous Trump presidency? Would you be addressing those concerns for Indians back home?
Absolutely. My mother actually said that she got her green card at the airport. And so now people are waiting 10, 15 years. Some people have been
Wow.
told that they're never going to get a green card. And even though they're on H-1B, they at least like a status change. And so, yes, our immigration system is broken in the US. It needs to be fixed. We need to start with supporting legal immigration, especially the people like ones coming from India who are contributing so much to our economy.
All right. You also happen to be the newest member to the Samosa Caucus, as it's informally known. But how pivotal has this lobby been shaping up the entire bilateral relationship between New Delhi and Washington?
Yeah, there's so many other members of Congress of Indian American descent that have been working on the U.S.-India relationship for a long time, and it has improved since we had more Indian Americans elected to Congress. I don't think that's a coincidence. And even last year, the Biden administration signed a defense agreement with India, and I think there's going to be more opportunities to work together in a bipartisan way in the United States to strengthen the U.S.-India relationship. So for the folks in India who are looking forward to doing more business with the U.S. and strengthening those ties, just know that the future is very bright.
So, Haas, how do you address concerns of that demographic shift of the Indian American political leanings, which traditionally were democratic, but now we are seeing this shift in their political leanings, many of them becoming an active part of the Grand Old Party, whether it's the likes of Viveka Ramaswamy or even a Bobby Jindal. Many in India are excited to see the second lady of the United States in Usha Vance. What is it that you attribute this shift to?
I don't know if there's a shift as much as there is a lot of Indian Americans here. We're not necessarily beholden to one political party. They just happen to vote for Democrats most of the time because Democrats were better on the issues in their minds. And this election, I think they saw something in Trump where they thought Trump was speaking more to issues that they care about. For the first time, you started seeing Republicans talk about education, but with a message that was very specific to the Indian American community, like merit-based admissions, for instance, which affects a lot of Indian American families here, or helping small businesses, which helps a lot of families here. So I think that the Republicans simply had a strong message for Indian American voters, but I think many of them will vote for a Democrat, and they voted for me. So, and it wasn't just identity politics. I talked to many Indian Americans who felt like I was going to be their champion in Congress, but that they felt like Trump was speaking more to the issues they care about. So in the end, all of this is, I think, less about political party, more about just people wanting to have leaders that support them on the issues.
Since you're talking about the loss of the Democrats that we have witnessed in this presidential election, what explains this loss, especially when the polls were, talking about how this has been a closely fought battle and how neck and neck this had been? Where was the fault? Was it in the candidate or was it in the campaign?
Sure. I don't think it was either. I think right now this is a very difficult environment anywhere in the world to run if you're an incumbent. And Kamala Harris, the Trump campaign, was able to paint her as the incumbent because she was Joe Biden's vice president. And so when you have someone who's running in a environment where the economy is still not as strong as people would like, and inflation is still a really big issue, then you're running in a very tough race. So we're still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic that really set our supply chain back. It meant a lot of government spending to try to shore up a lot of working families who lost their jobs, and that meant a lot of spending and inflation. And so the Federal Reserve here in the United States is cutting interest rates now. So I think there's some optimism, and I think what you might see is that Donald Trump might benefit from some of the policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris passed, actually, because a lot of those
All right.
policies, like infrastructure, take a while to set into place.
How do you speak to concerns of those critics who are saying that the United States is still not ready to vote or elect a female president? We've seen both Democratic presidential candidates like a Hillary Clinton and now a Kamala Harris lose both to a Donald Trump.
I hope that's not true. I don't know for sure. And again, I still have some number crunching to do and some analysis to do. But I hope that's not true. I hope that people care less about the person's background or gender and more about their policies, and that this was about the economic recovery and people being frustrated with Biden. But I don't know for sure, to be honest. I do hope that Kamala Harris continues to serve in other capacities. I know she's done an amazing job for our country, and I hope to see her continue in politics in some form.
I guess there's still hope, and as Kamala Harris said, and perhaps let's not forget the fact that Hillary Clinton did manage to win the popular vote. But I'd now like to talk about the concerns that Indians are going through. This year in the United States itself, we've seen in September 2 BAPS temples were attacked, one in California and the other in New York. Going by what we are seeing happen to Hindus in neighboring Canada, there are also fears that the Khalistan extremism may sort of spill over to the United States. What would you like to say about the US government's commitment to protect its Indian community, especially from extremist forces?
Sure. We have to combat hate in all of its forms. And so, I was very, deeply saddened to see that happen to the BAPS temples. I know we have a BAPS temple here in Northern Virginia, and that community has been an integral part of our really our social and economic success in Virginia. And so I want to make sure, I am Hindu myself, for instance, and I, worship as well at my temple. And, it's very disheartening if I saw someone, desecrate my place of worship. And that's true of any religion. So I want to make sure that we call out hate in all of its forms and that we do everything we can to combat it.
There's a Khalistan fear of growing extremist activities. We've seen the kind of violence that took place in Brampton in Canada. How will the US government ensure that none of that impacts the Indians residing in the United States?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think I'm interested to see where the Trump administration is on this and what they're going to do. Obviously, he's building out his team right now. And so, but in Congress, my big thing is I want to make sure we have strong U.S.-India ties. And that means economic ties, defense ties. We've made a lot of progress over the past decade. And so, the U.S. and India won't agree on everything. There'll always be issues and things where there's areas of disagreement. I look at the Russia-Ukraine war, for instance. But at the same time, it's just such a strong relationship right now in terms of the economics. And I'd love to see us do more on the defense side too. But long term, I think Trump is committed to having the Quad work together, and I look forward to being a part of strengthening those U.S. relations with India.
My last question, Suhas, are you confident that Donald Trump will be able to deliver upon his promises of ending both the wars, whether one in Gaza, Lebanon, or the other in Ukraine?
I'm not confident at all. I'm actually very skeptical. I think Donald Trump promises a lot of things, and it doesn't really happen, which is why I didn't vote for him. But, I'd love to end those wars. If there's a way to do it, I'm here to help. So I'll work with anyone, including Donald Trump, to make sure that we move our country and our planet forward.
Here's wishing you luck, and thank you so much for speaking to us here at CNN News 18. More power to you, Suhas. Thank you so much.
Thank you.